lightweights. Malik Wright, up all day and all night, pushing all the buttons up to something till it's alright. He looking at it from all sides and angles. Got a stripes on his body like he played for the Bengals. Oh man, there's no one discussing it. They came, they stayed, they either did it or done it. Man, I love it, cause all they ever do is win. So kick back, relax, the TWSN.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Sit Down Morning Show with Malik Wright, presented by the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host who's on the ones and twos today, Daniel Alameda. We've got a jam-packed show, a lot of stuff to get into, a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Our guy Parker Blake is not going to be joining us today. Wishing him a speedy healthy recovery. Obviously, he's dealing with a little bit of a sickness, so hoping that Parker Blake is going to be good to go on Thursday. And if not, brother, we're still thinking about you, man. Look, a lot of stuff to get into, man. A lot of stuff to talk about. I'm trying to think where I want to start this off. I think I want to start it off in Chicago. Something that came across my desk on Monday that I wanted to tackle on Monday, but it was so much to talk about on Monday, so I didn't get a chance to. Was Caleb Williams. And has he won over his locker room? Has he won over his linemen, right? There was a situation in which Caleb Williams took a hard hit and nobody on the offensive line looked to peel him up off the ground. I think someone from the opposing team helped him up. Daniel, roll the clip.
Down we go, we're down we go.
So that's interesting to me. The first thing they teach you as an offensive lineman is to protect your quarterback. And if your quarterback gets hit, help him up. That's the fundamental things that they teach you at a very young age when you first start playing offensive line in the NFL, or even before the NFL. And I don't know, it makes me wonder, has he done enough to actually earn or garner this locker room support? I hope I'm not reading into it too much, but to me, I don't know, that was very, very telling. I know if that was my quarterback and my quarterback took a hit, I'll be helping him up. I'll be helping the guy up, making sure he's good. And you got to just think, for the future of Caleb Williams, what does he need to do in order to win over this Bears locker room, to win over the trust of his teammates, his offensive linemen? Daniel, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that we had this conversation about the team in general, right? We had this conversation about Matt Eberflus, and we had this conversation, about the offense coordinator. The offense coordinator got fired, actually. And looking at this entire culture, I think it's fair to say that there's a culture problem. We can pinpoint Matt Eberflus and we can pinpoint, other factors, but there's also a real conversation to be had about Caleb Williams. And I think you're right, Malik. You go and look at, the issues that he's had pre-draft, right? The issues that he's had at USC, being called a diva by other people, being called, somebody who's not, the most franchise quarterback-esque guy, the guy who's crying on the sideline, the guy who's pouting. Those are the questions heading into this season. And then you have questions around a wide receiver like DJ Moore, who's quitting on his quarterback. So it really does beg the question, hey, what does this locker room look like with Caleb Williams in it? And I do think that there's a conversation to be had about that, but I think that it's fair to say that Caleb Williams has not won over the locker room. I think it's fair to say that the precedent has not been set, hey, that you have to go in no matter what and defend your quarterback, whether that's Caleb's fault or the head coach's fault. You would hope that you have the culture in your locker room that would kind of set that precedent, but they don't have that right now. And I think that's what concerns me about this Bears team, right? You go look at other teams that have failed their quarterback, the Cleveland Browns with a Baker Mayfield, the New York Jets with a Sam Darnold. These are specific examples that, teams have failed the quarterback. And we could be heading down the same path, Malik, if the Bears don't get this figured out this offseason. And I like what they're doing, right? They fired the offensive coordinator. Clearly, he wasn't doing the job. It was 10 games in the season, one of the worst hires, very similar to a Luke Getsky. But you've got to change this now. You've got to figure this out now, whether it's, hey, have a conversation with DJ Moore and Caleb get on the same page. But I'm with you. I think that this locker room as a whole is in shambles. This team as a whole, the culture is just not there. And we can discuss Caleb Williams. And I think he does deserve some of the blame with him not being on the same page of Keenan Allen, him not being on the same page of DJ Moore, him not being on the same page of the offensive lineman. But I think it speaks to the bigger issue of the culture in their locker room. And I think that's where my mindset goes with this, right? I think the Bears culture is shot. I think that they need a complete revamp. And I really think that it's the head coach. I think the head coach is really where you can set the precedent. Look at the Los Angeles Chargers, right? The Chargers are a team right now where it is very clear, it is very evident in their locker room. Every single player is saying the same thing, right? They're all saying, wow, I've never met a leader like Jim Harbaugh. Wow, the culture here is amazing. Wow, we want to go win for him. And that's a different conversation than some teams are having, within the organization. Micah Parsons just talked about him yesterday. He said, I want to win for the players around me. But I think that the Bears team is in need of a head coach that can come in and set the precedent. Hey, this is what's going to happen, and this is a no-fly zone. Because I think we can all agree Caleb Williams is a different personality. Caleb Williams is a superb talent, but as a personality, he's somebody you do have to kind of manufacture a little bit. He's somebody you do have to kind of look over in the sense of, hey, what does my entire team culture look like with Caleb Williams? So I don't think Caleb has won over the locker room, but I think it's very difficult, especially for somebody like him who didn't do that at USC, right? His teammates liked him. They won some games, but they weren't super successful. Their culture was kind of up and down. And we saw at the tail end of, especially last year, their team just took a nosedive. So I don't know if Caleb is the guy to turn this around when it comes to their culture. I think it's going to come down to their head coach. And I think it's going to come down to who do they pick next, right? Is it a young mind like a Ben Johnson? Okay, that could be good. And maybe that's the path you want to go for, Caleb Williams. And maybe you give a guy, like I said, a Ben Johnson a shot. But I also wouldn't be opposed to looking at these guys who have succeeded, like a Vrabel, like a Belichick, and saying, hey, we need somebody to come in here and completely revamp the culture. So that's why I think the issue with the Bears is I don't think it's going to get better this year. And I think that's my concern is, hey, I hope it doesn't go too far gone this year. But I really think that just finish out the year. Hopefully you see some positives out of Caleb from a pure quarterbacking standpoint. He's kind of looked, very timid. He hasn't looked like the gunslinger that he was the first couple games. So that's where my mindset goes. I think he hasn't won the locker room, but I think it's going to take the head coach to really fix that.
The thing for me is I actually agree. I hear where you're coming from, Daniel, but I agree with Shafi in the comment section. Says respectfully, I say, hey, you got to look around at the locker room. I agree with this. I think this could be a situation of like LeBron when he went to Cleveland. No, I'm not saying Caleb Williams is going to be the savior of Chicago. No, I'm not saying Caleb Williams is going to bring championship galore back to Chicago. But I am saying that to me, that's a fundamental issue that's deeply rooted within the locker room.
Facts.
And I don't think no matter what Caleb Williams does, I don't know if he'll be able to win everybody over, especially on that offensive line. I think it's a situation in which you might have to replace everybody. Respectfully, you might have to. It doesn't mean you do it in one offseason. Maybe you do it over time. But it's very, very clear that maybe there was just a bad look. Maybe they didn't see him on the ground. I have no idea. Maybe they're just so done with the season. Maybe they're done with the coaching. Who knows? Maybe they're just pissed to be out there. I have no idea. I don't have the answer to that. What I can tell you right now is it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look from those that are watching who don't watch Chicago Bears football often. I watch Chicago Bears football often. It wasn't a good look from those people who, were really hoping to see the number one pick, the people that were but bought money to go in the stands. And then you see what little success your team had offensively. And then you see your franchise quarterback being peeled up off the ground from an opposing team. That's not a good look, no matter which way you slice it. There's no way you could spin it. There's no way to make that into a thing of like, you know what? This was just a singular moment. This has been time and time and time again where it feels like the Chicago Bears aren't rallying around Caleb. And maybe Caleb did do something to piss his teammates off. He's a rookie. It's going to happen. He doesn't have all the answers. Y'all didn't have all the answers when you came into the league. Nobody has all the answers when they start on a new journey, a new profession, a new job. No one has all the answers. You lean on the veterans. You lean on people who have done it before to hopefully be able to, help you out throughout the process. I don't know. I just expect more from vets. That's just me. If you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss when we go live or upload content. Also, drop your questions, comments down in the comment section. I want to hear what your thoughts are on the Chicago Bears and the treatment of their franchise quarterback. Is it Caleb's fault? Is it the Bears' fault? Is it Eberflus's fault? Is it Ryan Poles' fault? Is it the organization's fault to some degree? What is going on in Chicago? Very curious to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comment section what you think. I'll move on over to New England. Drake May, it seems to be this guy has all the right stuff. He seems to be the exact thing the New England Patriots needed, and it's who they drafted. It's a new age quarterback, a guy, right, that has all the right tools, has the ability to extend the plays out of the pocket, has a rocket arm. And the biggest thing, Daniel, I think they may have gotten a leader. Daniel, roll the clip.
Way to make the play. Good job, big Mike. See you, MJ. Keep fighting, baby. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate y'all, boys. Love y'all, boys, man. DC, great job, man. How about that? Dominant by y'all, man. Dominant.
Down, phones down, notepads down real quick. Clap it up for the defense, man. Clap it up, clap it up. Somebody else clap up. There we go. Appreciate you. There we go.
Hey, man. So, Daniel, for those that don't know the story, Daniel grew up a huge New England Patriots fan.
I did.
He did. I hate to bring it up. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Grew up a huge New England Patriots fan, man. This is a guy that, he knows the Patriots culture in and out. What are your thoughts on Drake May, Daniel? I certainly have my thoughts. I feel like they got a leader. I feel like they got a guy, he's a little corny, a little cheeky, obviously. He's rookie. He's going to learn over time. But apparently there's a report out there that he didn't like the way practice was going. And he told the coach, hey, you know what? Let's restart practice. Let's up our intensity a little bit. And the offense coordinator had no problem with him doing that. Then you saw after the game, he jumps on the podium. He says, hey, everybody, let's clap it up for the defense. Not realizing the media is not going to clap it up, right? They're not part of the team. But he's like, let's clap it up for the defense. He's like, hey, there it is. There's somebody that clapped. What are your thoughts on Drake May? I've been impressed with him so far. Obviously, a lot of ups and downs, ebbs and flows you're going to have with the guy. But I like what I've seen from Drake May. And I think that's what the Patriots sort of needed.
No, completely. And that's why I think I'll admit, and I think that this is going to be fascinating to go back and look and see, hey, what did we miss, right? And that's something I always do. Hey, if I was on one side of something and I got it completely wrong, what did I miss? Well, Drake May, I just don't think I was ever sold on his, I think that I saw too much and I read too much into, the North Carolina quarterback, the fact that his offense was very simplified there, but the dude is a straight up playmaker. And I think that's why I want to first off start before I get to the culture, before I get to him as a leader. He is a damn good playmaker. And I think that teams and players obviously respect players who step up in practice, respect players who work their ass off. So I think that that's probably a baseline for this, right? I don't know the guy. I don't know his work ethic. If I had to guess, though, seeing from the players, the coaching staff, from the fact that they moved on from, Jacoby Brissett to Drake May pretty early on in the season, that he probably works his ass off. The team probably feels like they're super confident in them. And like I said, he is a superb talent. When you go and look at, especially go and look at that Bears game, like he made some throws that really did live up to the Josh Allen comparisons. Like there were multiple escape, run around. Hey, the one obviously that everybody saw, he ran to the right sideline. And as he's running out of bounds, he literally threw it 15, 20 yards on the dot. Wide receiver toe tapped and caught the touchdown pass. And I think that's the type of stuff that as a player, you go and look at what, opposing players have said and teammates have said of the great quarterbacks like the Patrick Mahomes, like the Joe Burrows, like the Lamar Jacksons. They say, hey, when I see that dude in practice, when I see that dude play, you just know he's different. And I think that they're starting to get that sense with Drake May. Hey, he can just make big time plays, man. I think that's where it really starts out. Like, the Patriots need this, and they needed this bad, right? You went and you drafted Mac Jones, who I thought was going to be a very good player. I thought he was going to be, that prototypical system quarterback that can do it all, the game manager, great touch, can read the defense, can move within the pocket. And he just couldn't do it off script. He just couldn't stop making terrible decisions. He couldn't stop, forcing the ball into harm's way. And if you're going to force the ball into harm's way, be like a Drake May. somebody who's doing that on 3rd and long, somebody who's doing that outside of the pocket, somebody's doing that outside of the structure of the offense. So I'm very impressed with Drake May, and I think that this is what the team needed. So heading to the culture, I really think that they bought in. And I think the fact is that Drake May and Gerard Mayo are on the same page, and that's so huge. Quarterback and head coach, you have to be on the same page. And Gerard Mayo was facing a lot of heat, for myself included, early on in the season, right? Why are you not, playing your franchise quarterback? And then now he's playing him, and you're playing him behind one of the worst offensive lines, but he's making the offensive line look good. So props to Drake May. Came in here, worked his ass off, and he's building the respect and he's earning the respect from his teammates. So regardless of the record, regardless of, how people view their team, Drake May has proven himself in a spot where he really didn't have to be in this position. So all around, I think the Patriots are very impressed and they're very happy with what they got. And at this point, obviously, we got to see how they finish off the season, but I think they've built up enough confidence in Drake May. I think Drake May's built up enough moments so far in his early career that he's earned the confidence of his team around him. He's earned the confidence of his head coach. And I can confidently say he is going to be their franchise quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but at least I can see him being there for a long, long time. And this isn't something like a Mac Jones who had one good year, who looked very good doing so. Drake May's making plays that you can say, wow, the dude is 23 years old and he's got what it takes to potentially be that next level quarterback. So very impressed with Drake May and his leadership too.
Yeah, I mean, I love what people are saying in the comment section. Marissa, Sean are saying pretty much the Patriots set him up the correct way. Starting Jacoby Brissett first, letting the offensive line shore itself up, and I agree with that sentiment. I don't think you throw a rookie quarterback into the wolves, if you will, if you don't have your ducks in a row. They saw what they saw to Jacoby Brissett. They saw the same veteran that we've seen for the last several years. Never going to be anybody that's going to, wow you. Never going to be anybody that's going to really take you over the top. But maybe somebody that's going to provide veteran leadership and keep you afloat to a degree. The hope is with a guy like Drake May brings a little bit of pop. Not even a little bit, a lot of bit of pop. He has a big arm, has the ability to, make off-platform throws. To me, he's very similar to a Josh Allen. I do think Drake May has an ability, even with his legs, that we still haven't seen him completely unlock here in the NFL. He's a young player, right? It's going to take time. It's going to take time for those things to work itself out. But I think Drake May is going to be a good pro from. The one thing I was happy for the Patriots organization is they finally got out of that pocket passer mold.
Yeah.
They fell in love with that pocket passer mold after Tom Brady, and then they went out and they drafted Mac Jones, who had success this past week in his first start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So kudos to him. No shot at him at all. But I definitely feel like the NFL is moving towards this style of quarterback a little bit more. Guys that can help you when the pocket does break down, can make plays outside of the structure of the offense. And I think that Drake May was an ideal fit for him. And I'm excited to see what his future holds with the New England Patriots and Gerard Mayo. It's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows, a lot of ups and downs. But I think there's one thing Patriots fans can hang their hat on to this season is, hey, you know what? We got our friend. We hopefully got our quarterback of the future. We got our guy that we can rely on. We got our guy that puts asses in seats too. He's an exciting player to watch. So kudos to Drake May. Kudos to the Patriots organization. Do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Let's keep it moving on. Let's talk about some of the contenders or pretenders, Daniel. I feel like there's a lot of contenders and pretenders going on right now in the National Football League. And I'll start it off with my pretender. I think my pretender is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a very competitive team, but I do not believe that they're championship. I don't believe they're a championship team. I don't believe that this is a team that I can see winning a championship. I think this is a team that I can see being competitive, making playoffs, obviously, maybe winning a game and then being out, right? But I don't take them as a serious threat. And I think it's just, you feel like while Russell Wilson is running the offense exactly how they need it to be ran, you just feel like the Steelers team is still lacking something offensively, personally. That's what I think. Obviously they had the jump ball play with Mike Williams, wins them the game. Great play. Awesome play. But how many times are, is that play obviously being made? That's not a high percentage play that I would root in success, especially if you need to move the ball down the field offensively, especially if teams start to catch on, right? That was a big play. I think even a lot of people were shocked to see that from Mike Williams, especially coming off the ACL injury. No one expected that to be something that we saw. I think that Pittsburgh defense is what it always has been. But I'm not believing in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Danny, I want to go tit for tat with you here.
Yeah.
Who's your contender or pretender?
Yeah, well, I agree with you there.
Mhm.
Like, I think that their team, they look good and they're gonna look good in the regular season. But like we talked about yesterday, I struggle to see them winning 3 games in a row because they're not gonna likely won't get the 1 seed. It'll likely be the Chiefs. And I just struggle to see them winning 3 games against Josh Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. Like, I see that too hard. But if I want to go to one pretender, I think the Minnesota Vikings are pretenders. I think that they're a team where hopefully people see them as pretenders. I just can't buy into the Sam Darnold, man. And I think that that's going to be kind of a huge trend that we discuss here is really about, these quarterbacks. And I think that they're a team where they look good, 7-2. Defense has been on fire. Brian Flores has been great. I can't buy into it, Malik. I can't. There's been multiple games, and you look at this past game, Malik, like you said, the Jaguars, Mac Jones, he had his moments. Malik, Sam Darnold threw 3 interceptions, man, and they only put up 12 points.
Mhm.
They're a team where they had multiple opportunities in the red zone to go out there and do it, and they just couldn't do it. And there's been multiple games like this, right? You go look at the game against the Lions, right? It was a very close game. They were up by 2 scores in the first half, and they went out there, they lost that game. Then you go look at the Rams game. I believe that game was a Sunday night or a Monday night. That was a primetime game against the Rams, and they went out there, they lost it. It was a close game, and there were obviously some, there was the safety call, but they got, in my opinion, the Rams controlled that entire game. Matthew Stafford looked like a much better quarterback. I'm just very concerned with Sam Darnold. I don't think that he's going to be the guy to do it in the playoffs. And like I said, I saw this past weekend what the recipe for failure is. And that's, hey, looking at them forcing the ball into Justin Jefferson's hands, it's not going to work. So I like what they have. I think they're good. But like Sean Brennan's saying exactly, I think there's 4 to 5 teams that are much, much, much better than them in the NFC. And I think, hell, even look at a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think they're in the playoff picture right now. I think they're right outside, if not in the wild card. I would pick the Buccaneers over the Vikings. So hands down, they are pretenders, in my opinion.
I agree, man. Listen, for me, it's one of those things where, you know, I kind of teeter a little bit. Let me go to another one of my contenders that I think people are kind of like throwing under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
The Ravens.
Mm.
I think the Ravens are different this year. And I know that the past says the Ravens haven't had success in the playoffs as much as we'd like to see. But I really feel like this team is different. My honest opinion. Like, say if it weren't like obviously a team like the Bengals who have met the Chiefs and beaten the Chiefs in the playoffs before.
Yeah.
I definitely could see the Ravens finally breaking through this year.
Mm.
I really could, man. I think the one thing that's going to hold them back is that passing defense. I really believe it's going to be a passing defense. But here's the thing. Their offense is so unstoppable. Can you keep up?
Mm-hmm.
Can you keep up? And that brings us to my next question. Okay. Well, in the playoffs, if it ain't like the Chiefs, for instance, who else is keeping up with them offensively?
Yeah.
The Texans, maybe? Maybe. I haven't seen enough yet from the Texans to feel confident in saying that. They play these big time games, and sometimes they just find a way to kind of squander. They had that game won against the Lions the other day. It was their game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like Lamar Jackson is truly having, and it's crazy to say for a guy that's won 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
I think Lamar Jackson's having his best. Season that I've seen from him yet. And Stephanie G saying you need both to win. I don't know if I agree with that totally.
I think she was talking about the Bengals.
Oh, well,
Sean was talking about.
I'm talking about offense and defense. I think she was saying, Sean was saying that Ravens are different was the same thing everyone said last year. Yeah, I don't know. I just believe that I feel like the Ravens could break through this year. I really believe that. Again, maybe that's just a fool's gold. I don't know. Maybe I'm buying into it a little too much, but I believe in this Ravens team, and As far as what you said, because I want
Yeah.
to make sure I touched on that. You talked about the Vikings
Mhm.
and Sam Darnold. I don't want to bash the guy for one game. I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying I just think
Yeah.
that I definitely think he's shown a lot of this season. I feel like for the NFC, you don't know. I don't know who's coming out.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the Lions. I don't believe
Yeah.
in the Lions. Not at them as a team, but just who they have at the quarterback position. I don't know if that in a sticky situation could he get them out of it
Mhm.
if they find themselves down 2 scores. We saw him do it against Houston Texans, but I mean the playoffs when the lights are bright. Can they do it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm banking on that guy to do it. Another pretender I think I'm going with is the Eagles.
Really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm just not I'm not overly like impressed with the Philadelphia Eagles, man.
Yeah.
They've rattled off a couple wins here and they've been impressive. They beat the Bengals, they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, and 2 of those games were dogfights.
Mhm.
I'm not buying into it too much though. I think it's one of those situations where those are all going to be competitive teams. I mean, teams that are going to be, going to push you to the brink. But at the end of the day, the X factor is the quarterback position. Can their quarterback reach a new height, a new level, in order to get where they need to go? That's the real question. Daniel, what about you?
Yeah.
Who's a contender? Who's a pretender?
No, for sure. And I think that's where I want to keep the conversation, the Eagles. And I think that the entire NFC, I'm with you, Malik. I think that the Lions could be, pretenders. I think the NFC is really a crapshoot.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that is I look at this week, there's a huge game. It is actually Thursday Night Football. It's the Commanders versus Eagles. And this game's going to tell me a lot, but there's 2 teams I'm really buying into this year when it comes to NFC. And so I'll give 2 contenders. I think it's the Commanders and I think it's the 49ers. I think these are the 2 teams that I look, hey, what are the teams I can realistically see beating the Lions? Of course, I could see the Eagles beating the Lions, sure. But I think that this Commanders team, like I said, they lost a close game to the Steelers, but they're a team where this next stretch is really going to define them. And if they can continue to perform like they've been performing, they're going to be a very, very, very tough team to beat in the playoffs. Like I said, I think their offense is firing on all cylinders, but it's going to be seen, hey, is Jaden Daniels, is this offense going to hit that rookie wall? Are they going to hit that slump? And that's where this next stretch is going to tell me a lot about the Commanders. So I'm going to say that they're contenders for
Mhm.
now. But it also wouldn't shock me. Hey, we're going to know a lot very quickly. But the 49ers for sure. They played a close game against the Buccaneers. We saw what happened. Debo Samuel got in a little argument with his kicker. Christian McCaffrey is an X factor.
Mhm.
And they're a team that is 5-4. They're a team that people aren't talking about. But I would argue that when healthy, obviously Ayuk is not there right now, but McCaffrey adds such a different dimension to this offense. You go and look at the game. I saw some people say, oh, he's washed. He's not cutting like he used to. Okay, maybe he wasn't in the run game, but I'm pretty sure we all saw the same game. The dude had 5 receptions and there were multiple. One was a wheel route. The linebacker didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Mhm.
The other was an option route. And it just shows, hey, there is a different level of route running when it comes to McCaffrey versus these other dudes at the running
Mhm.
back position. And I think he's an X factor. And I really like, hey, Brock Purdy looked like a different quarterback when McCaffrey was there. So
Mhm.
I think that there's still a team that no one's really talking about. But Malik, we are only 10 weeks into the season. They're 5-4. I'm so confident that they head into the playoffs. And if we see a matchup with them and the Lions, we're going to be having the same conversation like, damn, how did we favor this Lions team over the 49ers? Because like one of our comments said, they've got so much playoff experience. They've got Kyle Shanahan. Brock Purdy's been to 2 NFC championships. And I'm just super confident this team, they've just got the baseline of a very damn good football team. Their defensive line is still there. They still got Fred Warner. And right now they're the 8th seed. So nobody's talking about them, but I 1000% believe they're contenders.
Yeah, man. Is there anyone else that sticks out to you before we head out? Before we head
Yeah,
up to the next
I
topic?
think sticks out as when it comes to contenders or pretenders.
Pretenders.
Pretenders,
Or contenders. Contenders. Let's
yeah,
do contenders. We've been a lot of pretenders.
yeah. I think that when it comes to contenders, I don't know. Like I said, I think when I look at the NFC, it's Commanders, 49ers, and
Mhm.
it's the Lions for me. When I look at the AFC, um, I think that I'm not, like I said, I'm not sold on this Houston Texans team. Um, if I had to say, I really think it's the Chiefs. I think it's the Ravens, and I think the Texans are
Mm.
there. Um, I just don't trust the Buffalo Bills, and that's the one team I don't. And the reason why, I just think that they match up poorly with every single team in the AFC, Malik. We talk about the Baltimore Ravens. How do you beat the Ravens? How do you force them to not be contenders? You take Derrick Henry out of the equation.
Right.
What can the Buffalo Bills not do? They can't stop the run, Malik. And I think they match up poorly with the Ravens. I think they match up poorly with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think they match up poorly with the Cincinnati Bengals if they were to get into playoffs. So I hate to go with another pretender, but I just think the Buffalo Bills are pretenders when it comes to the other teams in the conference. Hell, I could see a Houston Texans beating them. So the Bills look good. Josh Allen looks elite as always. But I'm just so sold on these other teams in the conference that I have to call the Buffalo Bills pretenders, because I would favor the Ravens over them, favor the Chiefs. And like I said, if the Bengals get in there, I would favor the Bengals over them. And I think the Houston Texans is a toss-up. So I think I got to go with the Buffalo Bills as pretenders.
Okay, I could feel that, and it's we've sort of had a lot of history to kind of like go back on when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, to where I can't challenge you too much on that sentiment. I want to keep the conversation rolling. If you guys could do us a favor, though, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Let's talk about some of the coaches that we see on the hot seat. The way I see it right now, I can see 6 potential openings in the NFL once the season ends, and that's not counting the Jets. 6 additional, so I guess 7 total, but 6 additional openings. And I'll read off a few that I have, Daniel.
Yeah.
I think that Kyle Shanahan might be on the hot seat. And we kind of talked about this throughout the year already as to why we see it that way. They came in with a lot of pressure. And this was an organization that was hoping to compete this year. It just hasn't been the case. Kevin Stefanski is another one. Kevin Stefanski is a guy that I think that, unfortunately, the organization went out. They got Deshaun Watson, has not planned out the way they wanted it to. But regardless, Deshaun Watson getting hurt or not, even before Deshaun got hurt, team didn't look good. Afterwards, don't look great. Jameis has won the game, right? But has it been enough? Has it been enough? Is it going to be enough to save this guy's job? And I'm not sure if it's going to be. I think this owner is a hot trigger kind of guy. He's willing to blow it all up. And I think somebody's going to get a really good football coach in the offseason in Kevin Stefanski. And the other guy that I'll name is Matt Eberflus. I think Matt Eberflus, we talked about him in Chicago already. I think that guy is on his way out, Chicago. And, it's one of those things where I always say, when you draft a quarterback and you're a duck sitting coach, you're probably not going to be able to see what that quarterback could potentially become. You're probably always not going to be the guy that's going to see him through his remainder of his career. So those are 3 coaches that I think that are potentially on the hot seat. What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I definitely see a couple. The first one I want to start out with, I hope that this guy isn't on the hot seat. And I'm pretty sure he won't be. I think that this would be a complete overreaction. But Brian Callahan, I think that I saw a lot of Titans fans calling for Brian Callahan's head. And my thought process on why he shouldn't is because you did bring in his dad as the offensive line coach. You did, give him a quarterback in Will Levis, who you shouldn't really be super confident in. So I personally would say, hey, he needs one true quarterback to give him a real shot. But Malik, Titans fans are mad. They're upset. They got a top 3 defense in the NFL. You got Tony Pollard. You got Calvin Ridley. So Titans fans are upset. You have to show them something respectfully. I don't care how bad you look. You have to show them something to give them confidence, unless if you're just tanking for one of these top quarterbacks. So Callahan's a name that I've seen on the hot seat. I personally wouldn't fire him. And then it goes to the same thing, Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen is a guy where he's gone back and forth. You went with Richardson. You went with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco didn't look good at all this week. And I think that it depends on how the season goes. But if Anthony Richardson doesn't get another shot this year, and if you really roll with Joe Flacco the rest of the year, what are we doing? Right. So I think there's a world where he is on the hot seat. Once again, I would give him a shot with Anthony Richardson, unless if he's making that shot himself and saying, hey, I'm rolling with Joe Flacco and I'm not even going to care about Anthony Richardson's future right now. And maybe that is why you had Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach, come out in support of Anthony Richardson and say, hey, they believe in you over there, because I believe, Kevin O'Connell, Shane Steichen have somewhat of a close relationship. So maybe Kevin O'Connell is saying, hey, trust the process. Shane really likes you. They really like you over there. But I think that the Colts are in a weird limbo because they went out and the moves they made this offseason were to put you in a contending window. So he's another one. And then obviously you got the Doug Peterson and Antonio Pierce. Those are the two that Antonio Pierce is the guy. I liked him. I think that he was a good culture fit. I think that the players respected him. I think that they always respect a player who was a hard-nosed football player. Antonio Pierce made it in the NFL. He had success in the NFL. But Malik, they're 2-7. And they're a team that they live in the bright lights. They just added Tom Brady as a minority owner. And I could see a world where, once again, we talked about this, the Shedeur Sanders. But I think that there's a world where Antonio Pierce does not make it the rest of this year. And it just depends on how they finish off the season and if they want to completely retool with a new quarterback. But him, and then obviously Doug Peterson, we talked about this, but Doug Peterson, and it even goes to a bigger issue. Their GM Trent Baalke is just, they're not on the same page and they don't have a culture. And this roster has been constructed well, and you have Trevor Lawrence, but I think at this point it just isn't working with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, and you have to get a culture shock in there. So we could see a lot of new head coaches this offseason, Malik.
I agree. One you didn't mention that I'm surprised you didn't mention.
I didn't know.
Mike McDaniel.
Oh, yeah.
I think I could really see a world in which Mike McDaniel is gone. I feel like it feels like the league's caught up to his schematics, and it feels like the Dolphins haven't really grown. Obviously, they just had a win the other night over the Rams, but I could see a world in which Mike McDaniel's out. I'll go a step further too. I think Sean McVay is going to step down from the Rams after the season. I keep saying it. I believe that Sean McVay is going to step down from the Rams. He's already flirted with the TV positions. I think that's why he did the whole thing where he jumped in the booth during preseason and all that good stuff and let one of his coordinators call plays and be the head coach of that game. I think he's really flirting with the idea of moving to television. And, it's clear that this Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, the whole 9 yards thing is probably on its last leg. Aaron Donald already retired. I could see Matt Stafford hanging it up. I could see Cooper Kupp moving on. I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts in the NFL after this season. You know what's crazy? I think a lot of coaches that we aren't expecting will probably have their opportunities to be head coaches again in the National Football League. Like I do believe that with the overabundance of jobs, I wonder. Every single time there's a coaching cycle where coaches get fired, it's always that thing of, okay, will you go with the older statesmen, right? The older coaches that have been around the league forever, or will it be an offensive driven coaching cycle, or will it be a defensive driven coaching cycle? Believe it or not, offense is down around the league.
Yes.
This could be a defensive driven coaching cycle. We could see defensive coordinators that nobody expects get head coaching jobs. Hey, how about this? What if Spagnuolo became a head coach this year?
Yeah.
Right? For the Chiefs. That's not out of the realm possibility. With offense being down around the league, you might see teams say, hey, let's go back to defense. And it kind of teeters back and forth. You have this whole thing where we want the next new, young, offensive-minded coach, right? You don't think teams are going to be beating down the door for a guy like Brian Flores?
Yeah.
They're going to be beating down that door for that guy. They're going to be trying to see if they can make that guy a coach. If Jim Caldwell gets let go along with that Brown staff, will teams go try to hire him as their head coach? He's been a head coach before.
Yeah.
Of the team we just talked about, in the Detroit Lions. Right? I mean, this could really be a spot on which we see a bunch of defensive coordinators. We can see a bunch of defensive coordinators move back into head coaching positions. That's just my thoughts. What are your thoughts on that, though?
Yeah, no, completely. And I think that obviously we got Sean in here, and he's the Chiefs fan. And I hear what he's saying about the Rams, his head coaching gig there. Malik, I think if they three-peat, I find it very tough to believe on both sides, right? Spags has said many times, hey, I would love another head coaching gig, but if, it's hard to beat playing into the playoffs and making Super Bowls. So if they go for a three-peat, though, I'm very confident, right? Obviously, we don't want to talk about the season as a formality, but hey, if they were to do that, we could see, right, Travis Kelce be out the door and retire. We could see Andy Reid within the next couple of years say, hey, I'm out. And why the hell would Spagnuolo not want out now, right? This would be his peak. And if I'm a team, I'm bringing him in for an interview, which is kind of crazy that he hasn't gotten an interview, in the past 4 years, I think. So
maybe the league feels like maybe they passed him by a little bit.
Yeah. and potentially.
And,
But
and I see people. Okay, let's specify something real quick. Just because you fail as a head coach doesn't mean you won't get another shot again. Dennis Allen sucked as a Raiders head coach, got a chance to be the Saints head coach again, sucked and got fired, right? We've seen time and time again, Doug Peterson sucked, after he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, got fired, got a chance to be head coach again. Guys get chances around the league again. That's how it works. Not unless you just completely are just outdated and you just didn't have success, or you're a Jeff Fisher after a while. But how many chances did that guy get around the league? He got so many chances. We saw the new coach when it comes to the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn. He got chances again to be a head coach again after taking the Falcons to the Super Bowl, after becoming a defensive coordinator for years and years and years. He got chances again. So, Dada D, to your point, you said Brian Flores had a chance and failed. Let's talk about what failed. Let's talk about what failed is. His first year with Miami, he went 5-11. His second year at Miami, went 10-6. His third year at Miami, he went 9-8. He got let go because of philosophical differences with the owner. And there was some tampering going on with Stephen Ross, which is why he got suspended, which is why the Dolphins lost a pick. So let's be very, very clear when we talk about let's be very, very clear when we talk about when people failed. By that metric, the guy had 2 winning seasons as a football head coach in the National Football League with the Miami Dolphins. That's more, right? That's more success right now than in which that Mike McDaniel is having right now with the Dolphins. So when you look at it, 10-6, 9-8 definitely buys you an opportunity to be a head coach in the National Football League again. Make no mistake about it, Brian Flores will be a head coach again. He is one of the hottest candidates around the league. And I don't just say that off of speculation. I say that because that is what's being talked around league circles. Brian Flores is one of the top minds that people are considering when they are starting to get ready for this head coaching cycle. And I'll be honest with you, Dan Quinn opened up a door for a lot of these guys. It's okay for retreads to get brought back in. Maybe it was a situation around them. Maybe it was a premature firing. Who knows? But one thing's for sure, Brian Flores will get a chance to be a head coach in the National Football League again. Make no mistake about that. And I think that it won't be shocking if he's one of the first names off the board.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the one thing that you can hang your hat on. Make no mistake about it. Look at what just happened the other day against the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? They won that game, not because of their offense, but because of what, Daniel? Their defense. Yeah. That was a masterclass performance from a Brian Flores defense, which kept them in that game, which allowed them to win. That's what you're looking for as as a coach or as an ownership group in the NFL. If you're looking to hire a guy, can this guy make transformative changes to one side of the ball, particularly, that we don't have to worry about, right? And then can you build upon that? He openly discussed how he feel like he could have did a better job as a leader for the Miami Dolphins. And for Tua, maybe he wasn't always the best leader, but that was his first head coaching gig. Many guys mess up. Many guys screw up. That guy will get a shot again. Trust and believe, though.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to add to the Ben Johnson conversation. This is, in my opinion, everybody talking. Yeah, we would want Ben Johnson, of course. My only concern with that, and my only concern with the philosophy that, hey, he is the clear cut, way above everybody else. Maybe he is ahead of people. My only issue, Malik, is the fact that they have such a good personnel group in Detroit. And that's the only thing for me that kind of brings me caution, where they have no question about it, a top 5 offensive line. They have no question about it, the best running back tandem in the NFL. And they have no question about it, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta, who are 2 very, very, very good players who fit what Jared Goff likes to do, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown is a consistent threat over the middle. So that's my only pause on a guy like Ben Johnson saying, hey, he is the only guy that I want over everybody else. I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you're a team and you're solely focusing on Ben Johnson over, these other guys, whether it's the retreads, whether it's the Vrabels, whether it's the Belichicks, or whether it's some of these other young coaches, these young offensive coordinators in the NFL. But like I said, that's the only thing that causes me to pause with the Ben Johnson conversation is, hey, I've seen what Jahmyr Gibbs can do, and I've seen what Penei Sewell can do. I've seen what this talented offense can do, and I've seen Jared Goff have a ton of success with talent around him. So I think that Ben Johnson does a very, very, very good job, and he deserves to be one of the best guys in the conversation. But that's the only thing that holds me back a little bit, saying, hey, how would he look? And it depends on where he goes, right? If he goes to a Chicago Bears, they've got some good personnel. If he goes to the Jaguars, they've got some good personnel. But you cannot put a guy like Ben Johnson with the Carolina Panthers this year. And I don't think Ben Johnson turns them around far much more than what Dave Canales is doing.
Yeah, I don't think you move up to Dave Canales after year 1.
No, completely. And like, so the point is just like, hey, if you bring him into your team, I hope that you have solid personnel because I like him. I think he's going to be a good head coach, but the Lions have such a good personnel with the talent around them. They've got Gibbs. They've got a ton of talent there. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. If you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. We could talk coaches all day. I'm sure we can. There'll be so much more to talk about as we go through this process. Let's talk about the Bengals, man. Let's talk about the Bengals, Daniel. This is a loaded question, but where the Bengals went wrong. All right, I think that's the sentiment right now that we kind of want to start over. Where did they go wrong? And I think that I think the one thing we can talk about is we could say, maybe the mismanagement of your own roster, the mismanagement of your own talent on your roster is definitely gonna be one of those things that the Bengals look back on and they say, "Hey, man, we wish we would have kept some of the guys that we drafted. We wish that we would have done more to help support the defense and aid the defense going into this upcoming year." This year was supposed to be special, right? It's been anything but. And now obviously you still have you still have what, 8 more games to go?
Yeah.
8 more games to go. And you'd like to say that the most difficult part of your schedule is behind you. But the one thing I'll say that is kind of hard when there's a mental block, right? And if there is a mental block, if the mental block does exist, if there's already a mental block of people feeling that, hey, we can't break through. Well, then that becomes 10 times as hard as the games you just recently had. I think that, and I think I've been on record saying this, I think that there's a fundamental issue in terms of the front office and things that needs to change in the offseason. Maybe getting a different voice in there, an outside voice. Maybe that person takes on the actual GM role and you allow Duke Tobin to be the director of personnel, whatever that looks like. But maybe there's a different voice. Maybe there's somebody else that's leading the charge. I have no idea. But the family has to be willing to change the way they do business. Xavier Howard was just in here for a visit. Apparently, they couldn't come to the agreement of a contract. He went home, and this was seemed as a desperate move. It was a move to get a guy in here to sort of help the defense, and that didn't work out. It didn't work out. Right, that guy went home, and it always stems back to the front office. Or how much are you willing to go? I wasn't in that meeting. I don't know what his asking price was. I don't know what's going for. I have no idea on any of that, nor will I speculate. It's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is the front office didn't find a way to get it done. I think that when I look at it, this Bengals team has all the makings, all the potential to be something great, something special. And it hasn't seemed like that has come to fruition this year. And when I say all the makings, I'm talking about that's what we had speculated going into the season. We thought that with the last place schedule, this could be a good year for the Bengals. And things just have not worked out. I feel like there was a lackadaisical approach to addressing the cornerback's position once Dax Hill went down. Lackadaisical approach addressing the pass rush situation once Cam Sample went down. Man, they've got no one to blame but themselves. We're going to continue this conversation here. But before we do, guys, do us a favor, give this video a like. We've got over 90 people watching live now, right now. Only 19 likes. Just give us a like on the video. We greatly appreciate it. But Dan, I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts on this. Where do you think the Bengals went wrong? What do you think it went wrong this season for the Bengals? Or did it stem back all the way in the offseason? And what would you have liked to see them do differently?
Yeah, completely. I think that they are they're looking at themselves, and you have to look at yourself in the past, right? This season, you head into the season, all the issues that were going on this year, I don't feel like could be fixed and could have been fixed in an instant, right? The starting off slow problem. That is a problem that has plagued the Bengals for time and time again. You can point to Zach Taylor for that, right? We talk about, the fundamental issues of adding talent to this team. We talk about there was a major, major miss for right or for wrong, for lack of trying or for trying. They missed on this year's free agency class. That's what happened, right? The free agent that has succeeded is Mike Gesicki, and I'll get to Mike Gesicki in a second, but he is the sole guy that has succeeded. Sheldon Rankins has not lived up to where he was. Obviously, Trent Brown got hurt, but he was an injury-prone guy. Geno Stone has not panned out. So they tried, but it hasn't worked out. The next level that I want to address is the fact that your talent development is where a lot of this stems as well for me, right? You got to put guys in the best position to succeed. And you look at a guy like how Mike Gesicki is really
It says audio is cutting in and out.
here. You try real quick. Hold on.
All right. Testing. Are we good on our end, guys? Am I good to hear it? Can you guys hear me good? Or is it just a Daniel thing?
It might be my mic.
Okay.
But yeah, just talk about it real quick. I'll fix it.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know what else more to add, honestly, besides what I've already said. I mean, at the end of the day, it's it's a front office issue. It's a front office issue through and through. That has stemmed down the coaching, that has stemmed down to play on the field. You know, that's my good. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it stems down to. And I think if at the end of the day, if this team wants to take the next takes the next step, it's something that has to something has to change in the front office. It has to.
Yeah, completely. And I don't know why the audio was cutting in and out. It seems like it's working for everybody now. I don't know why it keeps doing that. But like I said, just to finish out, I think that my issue with this team is, and I'm really penciling in something. The Ravens game, Jermaine Burton, I think, had a huge role in that game. And we can pinpoint there were a couple big time plays where Jermaine Burton missed on a ball. And I think that goes back to the bigger issue with this team and this coaching staff is it's very slow for them to put these guys in a position to succeed right away. And that's what concerns me, right? Is, hey, there is no reason week 10, Jermaine Burton is getting his first true snaps as a starter.
Yeah.
That's a serious issue on the coaching standpoint. Mike Gesicki, right? You talked about him. You've been on the Mike Gesicki train all year long. Why, after the Chiefs game, did you stop going away from him? Why has he had 2 breakout games? And besides that, just been kind of here nor there. That's a coaching thing. So I think that all around this organization has just put this team in a rough position because, like I said, what other team has a quarterback and wide receiver playing at an elite level like these two are? And you can't blame the quarterback. You can't blame the wide receiver. And it's not like these other teams to where, hey, you think that they are just performing bad. Trevor Lawrence is performing bad. Dak Prescott, these other quarterbacks are performing bad. Joe Burrow's playing like a damn MVP and you're 4-6. So,
I know what's going on right now. The Bengals called YouTube to shut us down so we can't get our messages across to the masses and talk to people about what's going wrong. So YouTube is trying to silence our audio. It's all good. We get it. Messing around.
Exactly.
Continue.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And Sean was asking, right? How many in here do you think the Bengals are making the playoffs? This is the conversation we had. This season is not over. We can discuss Zach Taylor being a hindrance. We can discuss the Bengals defense having some issues like a Cam Taylor-Britt. This season is not over. You still have everything in front of you, but it's going to come down to winning some tough games. This Chargers game is a game. The Chargers have the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL right now. They have a rushing attack that is top 3 in the NFL. So you got to face the Chargers who are ahead of you in the division. Then you face the Steelers twice, who are a divisional opponent. Then you face the Denver Broncos, who are also ahead of you. So there is still a very real shot. And I struggle to see the way Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are playing and not say they got a good shot to make the playoffs. And I think it really is as simple. And this is my thought process. Yes, we could discuss Zach Taylor. We could discuss the team as a whole. I find it very hard to bet on a quarterback like Bo Nix, Anthony Richardson / Joe Flacco over Joe Burrow. And that's what my thought process is. I think it's very simple like that.
But you said it yourself, man. It's not a Joe Burrow thing. Joe Burrow's already been playing great this year, and the Bengals are still losing, right? So Joe Burrow can play as great as he wants, but how are they going to finally break through? I think that's the thing. It's like it hasn't been a thing of, are you picking Bo Nix, Joe Flacco over Joe Burrow? It's okay. Can the Bengals find a way to rattle off wins? Because Joe Burrow's been playing great regardless. I wouldn't pick any quarterback right now over Joe Burrow. And the Bengals are still finding a way to lose games, right? But Here's one thing we can do, Daniel. I know we didn't really expect to do it. Let's pull up the schedule.
Yeah.
Let's pull up the schedule and let's talk through the schedule through really quickly before we jump to our next couple of topics. And let's see if we can find some wins in here for the Bengals or some places that we feel like the Bengals could realistic win. Listen, I'm gonna say right now, they got to win against the Chargers, or I believe all hell will break loose. I'll say that right now. I think that the wheels will completely fall off this bus. I think you will see a side of this locker room that we have not seen before. I think people will be really, really pissed because it'll just be, it'll just be a bad situation. There's no way you can go after losing to the Ravens and then lose to the Chargers as well and expect that morale will be high.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, you can't let the Ravens beat you twice. You can't let this, even though they had beat you twice, right? But you can't let them beat you twice back-to-back weeks. You can't let that loss bleed into the game against the Chargers. That's my thought process. So I'll do something I don't really do. Historically, under Zach Taylor, the Bengals after a bye week do really, really, really well. That is true. Historically, after under Zach Taylor, they do really well after a bye week. That's when they usually go and go on a huge run afterwards. So I'm going to make a prediction really, really quickly. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I think the Bengals beat the Chargers this week.
Okay.
I think the Bengals beat the Chargers this week. And Brian Valerio says 1-10 versus the Ravens. And Lamar Jackson has what? 2 playoff wins in his career? Get it up, brother. Get it up, brother. That's my good friend. But Bengals beat the Chargers this week, I believe. Then they go on their bye week. They fix some things that they need to. Then I think they come back home. They have a home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they beat the Steelers afterwards as well.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, that Cowboys one is a little tricky for me. Bengals always play weird against the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Always play weird against the Cowboys. I don't know. It doesn't matter who. And people could say, well, the Cooper Rush starting quarterback. Well, last time the Bengals faced the Cowboys, Cooper Rush was the starting quarterback, and Cooper Rush beat us.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing it out there. So I don't know how I feel about that Cowboys game truly. I don't know if that game is sitting well with me, especially with Michael Parsons playing the way he's playing. That's gonna be a nightmare matchup for a guy like Amarius Mims. I'll pick the Cowboys in that game.
Yeah,
I'll pick the Cowboys in that game. I've kind of maintained that throughout the entire year. I said that Cowboys game, I see that as a loss. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll shock me. I think they'll beat Brian Callahan and I think they'll beat Brian Callahan and the Titans. I think they'll beat the Browns again. I think they'll beat the Broncos, and I could see them losing to the Steelers in Pittsburgh. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I think that it really goes one of two ways. Like, I have to give this Bengals win to the Bengals against the Chargers, because, like you said, if they lose this game, I don't even think it's worth going through the rest of these games, because heading into a bye week at 4-7, I would not bet anything that the Bengals would make the playoffs after that. They'd still technically be in it, but for this sake, I think that they do beat the Chargers. A very tough game. Beat the Chargers. I'm with you. Beat the Steelers after bye week.
Yeah, I don't think the Steelers sweep the Bengals at all. I don't believe that at all. I think the Steelers have yet to play a divisional game. We don't know. But listen, they always do well with teams outside of the division, but it's no team knows you quite like the team in your division. Yeah. I think the Ravens are I think the Steelers can lose a couple, can drop a game against the Ravens in the division, can drop a game against the Bengals in the division. I don't see this team winning out the rest of the way. I don't believe that.
Yeah, no, completely. And I think that's where I think beat the Chargers by a week, beat the Steelers. I think that they beat the Cowboys. I do agree that is going to be a weird game. I think that's also Sunday Night Football. So that's prime time. Maybe they flex that game out, but I think they beat the Cowboys. The games that really concern me, honestly, it's the final 3 games. I think the Titans game could be kind of tricky. Obviously, Brian Callahan's first game against the Bengals. I am in love with the Titans defensive line. But at that point, we could see a Titans team in a free fall with Will Levis. So I think the Bengals do go on a run. It's the final 3 games that are kind of the concerning ones. The Cleveland Browns at the end of the year, Jameis Winston, it remains to be seen. Is he going to be the quarterback? If he is, he's got about 5-6 weeks there under his belt. I still really love their defensive line. But I think that they beat the Browns. And then It's the Broncos and the Steelers game, man. The Broncos are a weird one.
At home, December, I'm giving it to the Bengals.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want my? Listen, I'm trying to be modest here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be modest.
No,
here.
completely.
I'm trying to be modest here. I'm trying to be unbiased. I'm trying to be realistic here. If you want my honest opinion, I think the Bengals the Bengals might lose another game here, but I genuinely believe they might run the table. Like I genuinely do. I
Yeah.
think they might run the table. The Cowboys game is one I don't feel comfortable about. The rest I feel very comfortable about personally. That's just me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And that's the hard part about this is like they should run the table.
Mhm.
Like they are better than all these teams. So for me, I think that they go and I think that game against the Broncos is a tough one. Both teams fighting for a playoff spot.
Mhm.
I think they lose that game. And then the Steelers game.
To the Broncos?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. And then they go, that Steelers game pretty much defies whether you make the playoffs or you miss the playoffs. And at that point, I think that the Bengals could beat. I think they win that game, and I think they could get to 10-7. So that's my thoughts. I think the loss in this next stretch is going to be that Broncos game.
So you got them losing to the Broncos. I got them losing to the Cowboys.
Did you have them sweeping the Steelers?
Huh?
That's the hard part.
Look,
Like I don't
man.
think that it's a
Man.
tough ass to sweep the Steelers.
They're gonna wind up flexing that game to a late game. You know, like right now the status is to be determined, but it's in Pittsburgh. Ah, man, I don't care about that. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I think that they beat the Broncos. I think they beat. I think they beat. I don't think the Broncos can keep up with them offensively, personally, and I think that's what it's going to come down to.
This is a great point by Gary
Mhm.
Jellison. Cowboys, Titans, Browns in 11-day stretch. That's tough.
That's tough. I mean, the games are tough. The games are tough,
Mhm.
but Sean Brennan says, how can you be comfortable 4-6 without a win against a winning team? Confidence is shocking at this point. Yeah, Sean, that's just not me. I'm not a meek guy. Confidence comes from knowing I've seen them do it 2 years before. I've seen them being able to put together a lot of wins, and statistically speaking, after the bye week they always have success. That's when they usually go on the runs under the Zach Taylor era. They've yet to have their bye week. Their bye week comes out this week. It's not just blind faith. It's what I've seen them do before. If they come out of this bye week and they look like shit, I'll be the first one to say out here that this wraps. But I've always been hanging my hat so far this season on what they look like after this bye week. So yeah, I'm not out here just throwing in the towel. Also, I've seen the way they've played against some of these better teams like the Ravens. They had the Ravens beaten twice, right? They had the Chiefs beaten, right? That's just my thought. So we'll see what happens after the bye week. If they come out of the bye week and they look like shit, I'll be the first one to tell you. I'll tell you right off the back that it's over. But they have looked like a different team after the bye week. I don't know what they do. I don't know what superpowers Zach Taylor has over this team and Joe Burrow and them put together, but they've always found a way to put it together after the bye week.
Malik, so my question, and this is where my thought goes, if they don't go 2-0 in this Chargers versus Steelers stretch, do you think that where does that leave your season? If you lose one of the Chargers versus Steelers, I think if they win Chargers by Steelers, I'd be very confident that you make the playoffs. What if they lose one of those games? Where's your thought process on? Because at that point you have 7 losses. Where's your thought process if they lose one of the Steelers or Chargers?
I don't feel comfortable. I mean, you have to go 2-0 here in the stretch.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have a game against the Chargers, against a team that you certainly feel like you can match up well against, and then you got the Steelers at home in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You've got to find a way to pull out a win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But coming off of this bye week, I think that this team is going to be ready to go. That's my thought. But I think if you don't go 2-0 in this match, it's over with.
Yep.
Personally, that's just my thoughts. But again, we'll know a lot about this team after they come back off the bye week. But they got the Chargers game to look ahead to twice. I mean, look ahead to first. So we'll see what happens. You guys could do us a favor. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Daniel, let's move on over to UFC. I have one question that I want to pose. Who has more to lose for this upcoming fight between Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira? Oh, and to answer that question too, in terms of T. Higgins, as far as I'm concerned, T. Higgins and Orlando Brown both participated in walkthroughs. We'll see if they practice. But I definitely like the chances of maybe us getting Orlando Brown this week. We'll see what happens with T Higgins. It's always tough to tell with these soft tissue injury. But yeah, and that's just my thoughts on this team right here. I think the Bengals. I think we're about to see a different team after the bye week. I believe that. But who has more to lose between Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira going into this fight? I don't really believe Michael Chandler has anything to lose. Let me just say that right now, because like this dude is a guy that's probably not going to fight for a championship ever. What do you lose? You lose the chance to fight for a championship belt. If anything, I think a loss by Michael Chandler makes the Conor McGregor fight more attractive for Conor personally. So you still probably get that big fight. I think Charles Oliveira has a lot to lose here.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Oliveira lose here. What's next?
Yeah.
Right? What is next? That's just my thoughts. I really believe in my heart that Charles Oliveira is fighting for his championship contention future. I think that's easy to say. Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that I'm a huge fan of Michael Chandler, to be honest. And I went and, kind of just went through his thought process. And the dude works his ass off. The dude, he just wants exciting fights. And he's always maintained that. He says he wants a championship fight, but no, it really is Charles Oliveira. Charles is kind of on his last legs when it comes to, a real run when it comes to UFC. Michael Chandler's always going to have exciting fights at his table, at his forefront, because he's a guy where you just plug and play him anywhere. You say, hey, if I need a dude to come on short notice, if I need a dude to make an exciting fight, I'm going to bring Michael Chandler in. So I'm with you. I think you have to go with the former champ. You have to. And the former champ is a guy where his last fight was literally for number one contendership. His last fight was to see who's going to fight for the belt next. So it's totally Charles Oliveira. If Charles loses this fight, his career, he's always going to be a fan favorite, but he's not going to be a title contender at all. And I think he's already not a title contender. So I'm excited to see this fight. And the fact of the matter, Malik, is Charles has a lot to lose in this fight as well. It's because they fought before and Charles won. So on Charles's legacy right now, it's, hey, I faced Michael Chandler on my rise. I beat him. 10 years from now, if we're looking, Charles loses this fight, we can say, hey, that first fight was a fluke. If Michael Chandler comes out here and knocks him out, we can say, damn, that first fight really could have been a fluke. And does that mean his entire title run was kind of fluky? So Charles Oliveira totally has much more to lose than Michael Chandler.
I definitely think that. I think people forget too. Michael Chandler was winning in that fight.
Dropped him.
He had a lot of success in that fight against Charles Oliveira before he just gashed out and got beat to a pulp. Yeah. I'm never a fan of a guy trying to, get a win back on his record after he's skinned by the skin on his teeth, like literally got by the skin on his teeth in a victory. And I feel like that's what Charles is doing there here. Charles sees a victory here with Michael Chandler because he beat him before. And I'm just not so sure a motivated Michael Chandler who's been sitting out, got a chance to heal up on some injuries, is probably the Michael Chandler Charles wants to face personally. Yes. I think I'm leaning Michael Chandler in this fight, to be honest with you. I really think so. But we'll see. We'll see. Charles has that undying spirit, and Michael Chandler still says he believes Charles has some quit in him. We'll see if we get an interview where we see Charles talking about the favelas, or we'll see if we see him, Michael Chandler, saying see at the top. It'll be very interesting to see. Keeping the conversation rolling, but before we do, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss when we go live or upload content. Chet Holmgren is injured for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And you got to wonder how this impacts the Thunder's chances at a title. It's believed to be he'll be out for 8 to 10 weeks, if not more. Daniel, roll the clip.
You're good.
Wiggins contested and somehow hung in the air long enough as he bangs off the body of Holmgren, who is down. A little attention. This is the play. Ooh, came down hard.
So yeah, Chet Holmgren is going to be out for a while. He was playing unbelievable this year, playing like a defensive player of the year type of candidate this early in the season. He seemed to be putting it all together. He seemed to be exactly what the Thunder had hoped for when they drafted him. Danny, what are your thoughts overall on the Thunder's title chances with a Chet Holmgren being out? Obviously, you still have Shea, SGA. You still have him in the building. You still got a guy who can give you 30 a night easily, no questions asked. But that's a lot to task on him. I remember that, throughout the year last year, he was scoring 30, 30, 30, and then he just blew all. He just like literally lost steam towards the end
Yeah.
of the year. And I'm worried that might happen again, because that's a lot that's a lot to ask of SGA to kind of put the team on his back, because outside of SGA, I mean, they've got a lot of good pieces that I like.
Mhm.
I like Jalen Williams, but I don't know if Jalen Williams is going to be a one option for a team, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he could be. I don't know if he can raise his level of play to match what SGA and the Thunder might need. Losing Chet hurts, in my opinion. You lose that rim protector. You lose a guy that I really believe complemented SGA so well. And I know you're really big on Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah.
I'm not as high on Isaiah Hartenstein as
Really?
you are. No, I think he had a good year last year. And but I think that asking for him to replicate that in OKC, I don't think that's fair to him personally. But what are your thoughts, though?
No, for sure. And it's very hard for him to replicate it. I think you just have to push your season along. Hartenstein's not even healthy right now.
Right.
So he's got to get back healthy. When it comes to the title chances, Chet should be fine come playoff time. So I'm not even too concerned about that. But this upcoming stretch is going to tell me a lot about this team. And I do think Chet is an X factor. So to put it simply, Chet is the type of guy to where he may not be scoring 25 points a game, but it's almost like the best analogy I can use is in the NFL, you got speed receivers like a Jamison Williams, for example, right? Jamison Williams makes defensive coordinators scared about the threat of a deep ball. So you have to put, a deep safety over top. Same thing with Chet Holmgren. Same thing with Kristaps Porzingis. Your center cannot just be sitting in the paint and playing rim protection, because you got a dude in the corner, Chet Holmgren, who can knock down threes. And I think that's the biggest difference here. Say, we're going to see a completely different team without Chet, because you can't just run a 5-out offense. You can't just have Chet sit at the 3-point line, draw out the opposing big, so Shea has more driving lanes, so Jalen Williams has more driving lanes. So I think that this hurts this team, and I think that we're going to see what are these dudes really made of, right? You looked at the game they played yesterday. They played against the Clippers, and Zubac was dominating, absolutely dogging them on the rebounds. Isaiah Hartenstein is the guy to where, hey, he needs to come back, and I think they'll be fine with Isaiah Hartenstein. I think it's a different offense. I wouldn't be picking them to be the best team in the Western Conference, but with Isaiah Hartenstein in there, I think that they're still a contender. I think they're a good team. But to answer Gary's point as well, does Chet's body make you concerned about him with injuries? It definitely does, but that was just a freak injury, to be honest. We've seen many guys go down with the fall like that, and whether it's a Zion that's happened to, there's been many players. But yes, his body type, 7'1", lengthy, not a ton of muscle mass, and you can tell just a very he had an ankle injury. He's had some injury concerns, so yeah, it definitely concerns me. But all around, I think the Thunder, they'll be fine once they get him healthy, but he's a huge part of their team.
Yeah, he's very reminiscent to me of a guy like Kristaps Porzingis. Both of these guys, lanky, tall, deal with health issues because they're not the most, they're not the strongest guys. They're not the strongest individuals, and that's something that can kind of hurt them a little bit throughout the process.
Yes.
Let's keep the conversation rolling. The Cavaliers. I know there's been a lot of chatter of us talking about the the Cleveland Cavaliers on the show, but are the Cleveland Cavaliers the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics in the East, Daniel?
I mean, I don't think so. I think they're good. I think they're fine. They're looking great. And this is a team that was really dove into the organization and said, hey, we are going to rock with the guys that we have on our team right now. I still think the Knicks, when it comes down to it, I think the Knicks are going to be a tougher matchup for the Boston Celtics. I do. I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are good. They got Darius Garland. They got Donovan Mitchell. They're a very well put together team. They're a very gritty team. I just really don't see. First off, I got to see them, continue this streak that they've got going on. But I think that when I look at the Knicks, I think the Knicks ceiling is higher than the Cavaliers. And I think that's really what it comes down to. I think this Cavaliers team is the clear number 3 team in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. I think it's still the Boston Celtics. And the Knicks, obviously, they haven't shown what they're capable of, right? Karl Anthony Towns on defense has been abysmal so far this year. But when I think it comes down to the ceiling, I would take the Knicks over them because I'm still a huge Jalen Brunson fan, and I like the dudes they've got. Mikal Bridges look very good as a secondary ball handler for them. So I'm not sold on the Cavs yet. I'm not, Malik. So
I think the Cavaliers have always been a team that, to me, I felt like at their healthiest, they can contend with the Boston Celtics. I feel like they have everything that they need to match with us. They have scoring in a Donovan Mitchell and a Darius Garland. They have the big guys. They have the Evan Mobleys of the world, the Jared Allens of the world. Yeah, I just see some crazy stuff in the comment section right now. Cavs dynasty run. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, I just feel like, can they put it all together? Re-signing Donovan Mitchell was huge for them, knowing that he's going to be there for the long haul with them. Those are going to be questions. Those were questions that I had, and now they look good.
yes.
They look good, but the ultimate test is going to be when you match up against the Boston Celtics. We'll see what that looks like.
Mhm.
But they always seem to have an injury that hurts them, whether it
Yep.
be an Evan Mobley, whether it be a Jared Allen missing games. Donovan Mitchell sometimes has these phantom games where he just doesn't show up.
Mhm.
You just, can this team, be healthy for each other? Can he be the leader that this team needs? Because this team needs a true leader, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the big telltale here. That's going to be that's going to be the huge telltale here. So I'm curious to see how the Cavaliers break down, but I've been impressed what I've seen early from the Cavaliers this season. I hear where you're coming from, Daniel.
Yeah.
You said you like the Knicks because you're a big Jalen Brunson guy. I don't know. I mean, I was expecting a little bit more from the Knicks.
Yep.
And maybe they'll look better down the stretch. Curious to see how Cat and Tom Thibodeau kind of work out together, especially with Tom Thibodeau historically known for playing his starters into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how that works out. But again, I think the Cavaliers are the biggest threat personally.
Yeah.
I think the Cavaliers are better than the Knicks. That's my thought
Yeah.
process. Although I think the Knicks are a very good team. Do us a favor, guys. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Daniel, it's right bet time. Let's get to what are some of your favorite NBA bets for tonight?
Yeah, we'll run through these. Malik, there's two games I really like. First off, I look at the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets have been balling their asses off. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller are two guys I'm a huge fan of. The face of the Magic. I love Brandon Miller's over 19.5 points. He is the number 2 on that team. He has hit this in 4 straight games. And Brandon Miller is a guy where LaMelo Ball has been scoring 30 plus. But if there's a guy that the Magic are going to focus on, it's going to be LaMelo. But Brandon Miller has been an elite scorer, and he's a guy where people really don't talk about him, but he's of the upper echelon of that next wave of Jalen Greens, of these young dudes. So I'm a huge fan of him. And then the next one I think is very important that we were just kind of talking about, but the Knicks face the Philadelphia 76ers, and there's a guy that is back today, and his name is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is back today, and he's going to be on a minutes restriction. So I think that
Why do you say his name like that?
Joel
His name is
Embiid,
Joel Embiid.
because man, I'm excited to see this.
The process is dead.
The process is totally dead. It is, but I'm taking his under rebounds today, and I'm taking this. I'm kind of scared to take it, but I'm just willing to bet. I like taking unders, and this Knicks team has been rebounding at an absurd rate, even though Cat has not been a good defender. Joel Embiid can still go out and get his. And I think Joel can hit his over 24.5 points, but I'm just kind of concerned on the minutes restriction. So I like his over points, but I really like his under rebounds. I just don't think that he's going to see, high effort rebounding. We saw this matchup last year in the playoffs. He didn't really rebound a ton when Mitchell Robinson was in there, who was a big guy. So give me Cat to kind of stop the rebounds. I think Embiid dominates some points wise, but under 9.5 rebounds, I will play it safe on a guy who has a minutes restriction tonight. So if you want my
keep going.
No, yeah, I can go with a couple more. I just didn't know if we want to give them all. Yeah, so we can roll with the Miami Heat versus the Detroit Pistons. We got a guy, Cade Cunningham, who has been dominating. He has been on an absolute roll, and he's hit a triple-double in 2 of his past 3 games. So I think that his triple-double is at plus 850. So if you don't want to go plus 850, if you don't want to go that high, take his over rebounds and assists, because he is a guy, he's been scoring, but he really is a team player. He's got a ton of shooters around him now. You got Tim Hardaway Jr., you got Tobias Harris. So I really like Cade Cunningham's over rebounds and assists. You got the Hawks facing the Celtics. This is a very, very, very good matchup. And there's two guys I really like in this. I think that Jalen Johnson's a guy for the Atlanta Hawks who has been playing good. He's been playing kind of that point forward role. And this is another prop I really like, but I really like the rebounds and assists. Once again, he's playing that point forward role. So Jalen Johnson's over rebounds and assists, I'm a huge fan of. And then what?
I love a play tonight.
All right, let's hear it.
Sorry, man.
No, let's hear it.
Tonight is the return of Klay Thompson to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
I think Klay has a big game.
Yeah.
I think Klay has a big game. I think Klay has a big game against the Golden State Warriors. Not only do I think he has a big game, I think they beat the Golden State Warriors, honestly, on their home court. I like you can do Klay Thompson to have 3 threes today at -165, or you could go a little more like me and do Klay Thompson hit 4 threes today at +140. That's a play that I absolutely like. I think that Klay Thompson is going to be a man on a mission tonight. And I think he's going to be ready to go. But here's another play that I like that might shock you guys. Najee Marshall to have 10 points tonight against the Golden State Warriors, sitting at plus money.
Yeah.
Najee Marshall is a guy that's developing chemistry with Luka Doncic, and Luka's helping him really find his shot as well. The one thing that I saw when I was watching Najee Marshall is I noticed that like sometimes he was like a little hesitant to really like let his shot go. They don't have his props up yet for threes, but I'm curious if is it going to be at him to hit 1 3 or 2 threes. I would take Najee Marshall to hit 2 threes in this game against the Warriors. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of that. I think Najee Marshall is a very good role player, and 8.5 points too is way too low for him. So I'm a huge narrative guy. I love the narratives, and Klay Thompson is 15.5 points as well, Malik. So he's coming back home. The Warriors team is giving out captain hats to every single person in the building because Klay Thompson wore a captain hat after their championship. This is going to be a huge thing. Warriors fans loved Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson loved Golden State. This is going to be a huge night for him. And I definitely like to see a Klay Thompson reunion. And I think that Klay Thompson has a big night. 15.5 is way too low. And if I got one more, it's very simple. Giannis is a man on a mission. Giannis is facing the Toronto Raptors, and I think that this could be a massive, massive, massive game for him. I like his 35 points. He's hit this in 2 straight games, but I also like, and this is a little sprinkle, but I like him to get a triple-double. He's been very close the past couple games. I think he's got one so far this year. If not, it was 9 rebounds or 12 rebounds, 9 assists. But plus 400, a little sprinkle on his triple-double against the Raptors, who have literally no big men. Give me Giannis to have a monster game tonight.
Man, Dan, you're cooking right now. And I feel like I got to match you. I feel like we're like Kendrick Lamar and Drake right now going at each other a little bit. Listen, man, I've got a 30.25 LA that I put together. You hear me there? I said a 30.25 lay that I put together. Let me tell you what it is, y'all. And I want y'all to write this down real quick because this is coming straight from the TWSN factory. And Benjamin Harrison, I appreciate you, brother. He says, I love this morning show. It's the best morning show out there. It's just the overall outlook, how diverse the team is. We go from NFL to NBA, UFC. Who knew what's more to come with the new year coming? I'm excited. Even sports betting props. TFSN got sports props, y'all. Man, we appreciate the love. And I promise you, that's all genuine love, man. We appreciate you. But I got a 30.25 lay that I'm putting together. Right. And what this 30.125 lay looks like is I'm taking players that I think will score 30 points tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just saying sprinkle on it. Sprinkle on a little bit.
Yeah.
And Gary Jellison out here trying to diss me all. He always trying to put us against each other. That's weird energy. He's like, Daniel's who the culture feels. Oh, that's crazy. But anyway, Anthony Edwards, 30 points against the Portland Trail Blazers. Love that. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I love that.
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if the culture co-signs what I'm saying.
That's funny.
Luka Doncic, 30 points against the Golden State Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
You like that?
Yeah.
Devin Booker, no KD. KD's out the next couple of weeks against the Utah Jazz. I think Devin Booker goes off scoring wise. I think he has 30 tonight against the Jazz. Daniel?
I like it.
Okay, here we go.
I like it.
Here we go.
I like it. I don't love it. I like it though.
Okay.
For a parlay, and I'm sure the odds are good.
I said you just sprinkle a little
Of course.
You put a little bread on it, right?
Yeah.
You put 100 on it. No big
Mhm.
deal, right? Giannis Antetokounmpo 30 against the Raptors.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that, right? I'm sure that's what you're going to say,
Easy.
right? Here's my 25. Joel Embiid to score 25 against the Knicks.
Yes.
And my last 30 is Jason Tatum to score 30 points tonight against the
Yeah.
Atlanta Hawks.
Facts. We'll do that.
That's my 30. That's my 30-point parlay. That's
Mhm.
Malik. That's Leak's 30-point parlay. Y'all let me know if y'all are cooking with that, if you guys like that, and if y'all are going to tell that. So those are a couple players that I think scored 30 tonight. We'll see on the Devin Booker front. You think Devin Booker scores 25?
I think for sure. And like he could score 30. My only thought is he's been passing a lot.
Yes, but that's with KD.
No, without.
But KD's gone this week.
KD's gone. No, I'm with you.
He's going to be forced into a role where he has to be the primary scorer. You're not relying on Bradley Beal to be that primary scorer. You're not. Who else is going to score for that team?
No, I'm with you. He'll score 30. He'll probably score 30.
I'm just out here looking at the optics and whenever.
And
Devin
what are
Booker
the odds? It's probably you probably got good odds for the parlay. So I'm not.
I mean, he's sitting at plus money.
Yeah.
For him to get 30 points is plus 100.
No, for sure. Yeah.
You know, that's just my thoughts, man. I think.
What's the overall odds on the parlay?
Man, 6-2-9-6, man.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, if it's that's
you empty the clip on that one. You do
facts.
that. You do that time and time again. That's just my thoughts, man.
Facts.
Yeah, man. You know, that's I think that a lot of these players have a lot of success, and I think that we have the. You know, I was tempted to go Joel Embiid 30, but I didn't go it. I didn't go it. I wasn't brave enough. So I just stuck with 25 for him.
Yeah.
But think about it. It's no Tyrese Maxey.
Yes.
Paul George, right, is going to be there with Joel Embiid. We get to see that duo together today. We get to see what that looks like. I'm definitely going to be looking at Jared McCain's props too.
Ooh.
You know, I'm going to see what Jared McCain has because that's a guy that's starting to get more minutes, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from a Jared McCain personally. I don't even know if they have him up right now.
No, but he should be. Yeah,
man, I'm telling you right now, Jared McCain is a guy that I believe is starting to emerge a little bit, and I like him personally. I think he's going to have some success. I like how aggressive he is. Primarily, I hope they have his 3-pointers up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, wait, I just found a prop, Daniel.
What up?
Kyle Lowry for a second.
What's
Hold
his
on.
line?
Let me just double check something for a second. I'm sorry, guys. This show's running a little over. Kyle Lowry last game, okay, maybe he won't do it, but Kyle Lowry last game against Charlotte had 8, against the Los Angeles Lakers had 5. Before that, against Phoenix, 13, and then Memphis, he had 10. Joel Embiid's back. Kyle Lowry to get 10 points tonight is plus 230.
I like that a lot.
Man, I don't know. Odds makers is playing with me a little bit. They must know something I don't know. Anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Sit Down Morning Show with Malik Wright. Remember, there's only one way you should be waking up, talking sports, having the conversation, and that is the right way. We'll see you guys back here Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Make sure you guys give the like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and tune into State of the Jungle tomorrow at 7 p.m. with me and the guys. We're back in business. We'll be discussing all things Cincinnati Bengals, getting you guys all set for Bengals versus Chargers. It's a pivotal game, pivotal matchup, but we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for making us a part of your daily morning routine, and we'll see you guys Thursday morning.